We will either find a way or make one. Hannibal Barca. That's the kind of attitude you need as a trader or as a trader in training. Wherever you are, you're going to figure this out. Don't worry about how long it takes. Why? Because you'll more than make up the time you spend when you master this. 10 to 15 minutes a day, that's all we ask. Let's jump into these charts. We see everything up for the day, unlike yesterday where everything was down. What do we see going on with the S&P 500 up 1.80%? The big gainer is the NASDAQ 100. We'll get to that in just a minute. We've seen where there's been a lot of push down. We've had a couple of pushes up. This latest one, we can see indecision in the morning, popping up in the afternoon. Still, we're in the red, waiting to go to green here, so we get another opportunity to jump into potential down moves. Haven't seen that yet. We look at the 2-day. Where is it? It is still strongly down. Haven't reached the lows of the prior 2-day candle, but again, lots of red there. And what about the weekly? Hasn't turned to green yet, though we have 3 weeks of down movement, which is good to see. So we'll wait, watch, and see how things shape up. And if we get an opportunity to jump into a down move, maybe things are turning around. Not going to be holding my breath for that. What do we see? I mean, turning around as in going up continually. We may have already reached that peak. Remember, most market crashes all occur in what month? October. We're headed that way. We'll see. I don't mean that we're going to have a market crash, but hey, it's not beyond possibility. What do we see with the Qs? Very similar to the S&P 500, still negative on the STC. Indecision in the morning, popping up in the afternoon. 2-day still down, of course, very similar to the S&P. Weekly still up on the STC, 3 weeks of down movement. So overall, what do we see from stocks? Lots of downward pressure, even with this pop-up for the day. What about bonds? Bonds popping up a little bit, similar to the market. Now, in the past, in the good old days, bonds typically were inverse to what's going on with stocks because bonds were a place where money fled to when the stock market wasn't doing well. Well, we live in a bit of a different time. We're still keeping an eye on our down trade. Things were tracking in the right direction, popping up. Again, we're right there. We're well within the loss limit. We'll see. Some of you I know pulled the trade in the morning, took a little bit of a profit. Others stayed in. We'll watch, wait, and see as we move along up for the day. 1.58%, still red. We look at the 2-day still red, and when I say that, I'm talking, well, I could be talking about the candles and, of course, about the STC. What about the weekly? It is still green. The STCs look very similar to stocks, don't they, as far as 20-year bonds go, but, of course, many weeks of down movement, and, of course, we are well below the 200 EMA, even on the weekly chart. So we'll keep our eyes on bonds and see how they continue to move along. Set this up for us. There we go. So we'll keep an eye, particularly with that open practice trade there. What about gold? Well, we've gone green as far as the STC goes, which is good, resetting, giving us the potential to jump into another down move as we previously did most recently with a 1.58 short on gold. We can see indecision in the morning, popping up in the afternoon. Looks the same on all these charts, doesn't it? Except we went from red to green here on gold, still well below the 200 EMA. So we're waiting what? For a potential down trade. Look at the 2-day. It is red on gold, and we've seen down movement for many days. And we look at the weekly. And of course, sitting there, we've penetrated last week and this week with the wicks. The candle itself hasn't moved below the 200 EMA. We'll see how things go. STC is red, and again, this is the weekly chart. So again, downward pressure also we're seeing on gold. That's where we are when it comes to the big four. Now let's add in Bitcoin. We'll go, of course, to XBTF. This is the Bitcoin strategy by Van Eck. It is traded at regular, online brokers. It is an ETF, unlike the rest of Bitcoin where you might have to go to a Bitcoin exchange. There's 3 of these. We look at the Van Eck every day because it has the lowest of the fees. I encourage you to practice trade it when Bitcoin presents you an opportunity to trade it going up. Of course, one of our Patreon members showed us BITI, which is the ProShares Bitcoin short fund. It is a -1x. So when Bitcoin's going down, this fund's going up. And look, it's about $40 a share. So something for you to pay attention to. When we look at going back to the Van Eck Bitcoin, we can see that it's up for the day 1.60%. But when we look at things, again, we can see still meandering down in very red territory below the 200 EMA. Let's look at the 2-day. Of course, as we look at the 2-day, we can see that we're right down there at the most recent bottoms. I would love to see things stop here, build a bit of a base and move up. We'll have to wait and see. STC's not doing that much for us on the 2-day. What about the weekly? It's been red. And of course, again, you can see where we're tapping those prior lows. Let's keep an eye on Bitcoin, see where it goes in the future. Nothing for us right now when it comes to any long positions for our practice trades. That's where we are, folks, as we end the day. Thanks for our recent Patreon members. We do appreciate that. I'm getting ready after this recording to, of course, prepare and put out for our Patreon members Charting Crypto. Get ready. It's a-coming. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.